if you don't know that you really like this person, you're going to be uncomfortable. You have to choose what you're doing in a way to give you a short time. So that's why like a 20-minute coffee for a first date is perfect, right? You get there, you can kind of feel a natural energy. You can like lean in, or you can feel your body like, not so much. And then that's it.
Hey, what's going on? It's the Talk About It podcast. I'm Lauren Fulmer.
I'm Victor Dantas.
And today we have another fun episode. Today we have Larissa Hill, dating, coaching, dating and relationship coach. Yeah. And also probably a wide variety of other things. We're looking forward to sitting down and catching up with you. We've had this on the books for like maybe 2 months.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I've been very excited for this one. So thank you for taking the trip. You're in the Chicago area, joining us here in Central Illinois.
Thank you for coming.
Of course. Well, my hometown is Galesburg, so I get to come back here often. So it was super convenient. I drive through Monmouth all the time, and I loved coming here because you're downtown, and so Maud's Speckabellies is right there, and just being in such a cute town, it's like my home.
Yeah,
so.
She was saying Jamie at Maud's is one of her friends from a long time.
Friend.
Oh, really?
Running around in diapers.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's
so
cool.
it's kind of cool to be here in Monmouth and get to stop at her shop and maybe grab some goods. Yeah. Plenty of goods.
Oh my gosh, such good stuff.
Yeah.
I fill my house with it stuff.
Well, Larissa, tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Larissa Hill?
That is still a question that I'm trying to unfold as well, and I hope to be doing that well into my late life. I was actually just talking about how it's amazing at 41 how much I'm learning about myself and how much it keeps going. And you guys probably know we are not the same people as we were when we were 18 or 20. And it's, I don't know, when you're younger, you think, oh, they're old, like they're boring. And you're like, wait, no, there's so much more to life right now that I really enjoy uncovering. But yeah, I grew up here. I grew up in Galesburg, and personally know you from high school. And so, you know, the small town feel is really where I'm most comfortable. My grandma lives just outside of here in Biggsville, and my happiest place is climbing trees and sitting next to the creek, and you know, the old wooden swing on her porch, just sitting there watching the trees or deer, and like, oh, it's the best.
Yeah, you don't get much of that in the big city, in the Chicago area.
And that is part of the struggle that I have in my life, is that I do live in Glenview, which is a part of the North Shore even. Like, I mean, talk about completely different worlds. And so I'm there. My bucket list I made in high school included living in the city. And so it moved me up there without a job. I went to college at Augustana, and then knew after that I had to backpack through Europe, study abroad, and live in the city. Those were the next 3 things. And I did all of them and moved to the city, to downtown. I worked downtown. I worked for Heinz Property Management, they manage high-rise. And I was there, like on the Metra, on the L, just, you know, with the nice fancy jacket, the briefcase. Like, I lived that life to like check the box and play volleyball on North Avenue Beach. Like, the whole thing, like the whole experience was amazing, but it wasn't me, you know? Like, I knew it was a hat that I was putting on and wanted to experience it, and it was amazing. But then, you know, my boyfriend in college, fiance, when I graduated from college, we moved to the city and then started that relationship escalator. You know, like, once you get going, you know, okay, the next step is this, the next step is this. And we just kind of got caught up in it, and everyone does, whether or not you're really present and really thinking about it. But ended up doing we want to have kids. We got married in the city, started thinking about settling down, moved to the suburbs, and, you know, getting more settled down. And now that I'm divorced, I've got that legal 25-mile radius holding me into the suburbs. And so I accept it and know my parameters, but I come down here all the time. Like, I really need to escape. There's a lot of great energy up there, but it's a lot. I need the quiet down here.
Yeah, and it's not for everyone. The busy isn't for everyone. The quiet's not for everyone, you know?
No.
But I love, there's probably nothing better than here in our area of just being able to go for a peaceful walk sit on a front porch and reflect, or just look up in the sky. I mean, there is something to be said about the chill, slow life, you know.
It really regulates my kids and I have 3 kids, 8, 11, and 14, and ever since they were born, I mean, I've been bringing them here. They can go off in the timber by themselves now. I mean, we have a path, we do creek stomping, we do 7-8 hour hikes. And it literally regulates us. We can get all, you know, stressed out, or it's just too much. And when we go out there, we're like, oh, like you need this. And I don't know how to help more people in the city or my friends. Like, I'm like, come with us. Like, you've got to experience this kind of calm. And you can't do that up there when there's concrete and traffic and sirens, and it's a lot.
So what do your kids prefer? Here or
That's
Chicago?
a great question. My oldest 2 have been begging to move here. We want to move in with Grandma. There isn't anybody. She lives in Biggsville. We're on 260 acres. You have to make a solid effort to see another human being. And so we love it here when we can find ourselves just sitting in trees for hours. So my older 2. My younger one has grown up in the split home. So, and their dad's life is a lot different than mine. Mine is, we were sharing earlier about our homes, like minimalist. I have a small house. I don't like a lot of stuff in it. I've put in effort to the backyard and really invested in connecting with nature as much as I can in the suburbs. They get the really cool trips and the cool toys and like the other kind of life. And I think my younger one is a little, right now, he's 8, right? Like you get all the cool stuff. So I think lifestyle wise, it's a toss-up, but I'm pulling for the farm.
Well, and at 8, like you said, that anything next week, something's cooler, you know. Something I thought was interesting that you said, and talk about like who you are at 18 is not who you are at 30 or 40. That's one thing I think I've even said on this podcast, but one of my biggest pet peeves is when someone, and we'll just use Victor as an example, but they'll like, haven't seen Victor in 15 years, and they're like, I can't stand that guy. And they're like, why? What? You know, and they're like, man, in junior high, he did blank, or they're like, you're holding on to what a guy said or did in junior high or high school. You know, it's like, God, that must have really hit you. But for you to say those 3 bucket list things that like you really want to do, you went out and did them. Now that's 18-year-old you that like has these of high importance. And then, you know, you get 30, 40 years old, those things don't necessarily still have to reflect you or be of high significance. I thought that was kind of an aha, the way you put that.
Well, like to go back to the holding out on who you were back then, like I know I've changed personally. I once I've gotten free of maybe who I wanted to be or the poster of what I thought I should be, I think that word should is erased from my vocabulary, because there was a lot of things that I did because I thought that's what I should do. Now, like for college, for example, like I knew what the typical college life looked like. And of course, you can only experience that while you're in college. So I took advantage, you know, I had a lot of fun. I did well in school, but like I drank more than I probably wanted to. You know, that was, looking back at it now, I'm like, oh, I really wish that would have changed. And I'm sure there are some people that have opinions that I knew were friends that didn't drink so much. And I kind of hate that, right? You're like, oh, they see me still as that person. And I had to let that go. You know, I had to, and now that I'm kind of out by myself, like that's not part of my lifestyle. You know, I am much different. I'm actually more of an introvert, which is crazy because I was with an extrovert and we were the extroverted couple in the place. And now that I don't have to, I'm like, I really like my solitude and my quiet. And looking back on it, the conversations were really like me in a small group. It wasn't out with everybody. And so even just something like that, the image of who I am or what I used to be is so different now. But you were talking about the bucket list. I still see the Egyptian pyramids. That is, I'm a math nerd, so that is just fascinating to me. But would I, go backpacking? Would that have been something super important to me at this point? I don't know. Now it's like I want to cultivate a garden. Building a structure was something on my list, and I've built a little house, a 12 by 16 house and a shower house in the back.
Nice.
And I still love building. I was actually putting up drywall just yesterday, and I really love it. But I don't know. There's something about getting older that I'm just like balanced. I just want calm. I just like peace, and I want to read more books, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm getting old. This is so weird,
Yeah.
That's not who I was. And the energy that we've talked about, like, we have our fingers in all kinds of things. I still have it. I can't seem to pick up a book because I haven't found the time, but I want to, like the desire is really there. Rest is there. Meditating is there. Getting more into yoga, is replacing running and very intense workouts, stuff like that. And I like the way it feels.
Yeah.
To like slow down.
Yeah. I've had some aha moments where I'm definitely like, I'm getting old.
Right?
Like I just went camping over the weekend. I brought my book, that's a little.
But do you think that's the old people thing
in my
to read
head,
books?
Right,
in my head, yeah.
I think that's a smart thing to do.
Well, it's very
smart people thing to do.
Right,
yeah.
right. But yeah, for me, the longest time, I just got into reading the last year and a half.
Yeah.
I hadn't read a single book since high school until 2022.
Wow.
Yeah, and I read, I think, 5 books in 2022, and I'm on my 3rd for this year.
What's the book?
I read a lot of self-betterment.
I do too.
Motivational. Jay Shetty is a guy I'm totally on right now. The guy just seems to speak my language.
Yeah.
Really, really. And that's what I think took me so long. They kept saying, like, well, you just haven't read the right book. And they were totally right, because I hadn't. I kept trying to read different things. I'm like, no, this isn't it. It's not it.
Yeah.
I don't care. And when I got into that, the first one I read was called The Mountain Is You. And it's like, you're the one that is in the way. You're the one that's stopping you from your goals. That one was a very great read. It grabbed my soul. No, it's not. I can't think of who that one is. The first Jay Shetty book was Think Like a Monk.
Yeah.
And that thing was awesome. I'm going to read it again for sure.
Yeah, I'm kind of addicted at listening to books. Audiobooks to me is like, if I'm doing anything, if I'm walking with my dog, if I'm doing dishes, if I'm doing anything, I need to be listening to a book.
Yeah.
Like, it's something that's automatic. I need to turn it on.
What are you listening to right now?
Right now I'm listening to How to Sell Like Crazy.
Okay.
It's a very good book. I listen to a lot of books related to sales, business, self-betterment.
Yeah.
I always do that. So, but yeah, I listen to a lot of books. And if I need to read those books, it would take too long. And I prefer to read a book in one day.
Gotcha.
If I got 3 hours, I can read a book quick. If I put on 2x speed,
See, for me, like what I love about reading, and I only read for 10, 15 minutes.
Before bed?
No, I usually do it in the morning.
Oh, good. Get it in.
Yeah, I like to do it in the morning, and it allows me to spend my day like chewing on what I read and like finding ways to apply. And that's why I don't like to read too long. Because if you read 30, 40 minutes, you read 3 chapters, whatever it may be, it's like you're taking in all this info and not being able to necessarily apply it or like really, really chew on it and like make some sense of it.
Yeah.
So that's what
there are some books I've listened 2 or 3 times.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I prefer to listen better than reading. But
that's a learning style, right?
Yeah.
Auditory.
And you have a good point too. I won't say a bad habit of mine, but like I go to music right away. So like when I want to walk, or even I come in the house, I turn my speaker on and I got music going at all times. Where I'm like, maybe I could put some better content in a book or something like that.
I get anxious if I'm doing things and I'm listening to music for too long.
You do?
If past 15 minutes I'm only listening to music, I think I'm losing time and I need to read something to learn.
It's like
something.
I'm not learning fast enough.
It's just like YouTube. If I'm watching a YouTube video that's funny, that's okay. But after 10 minutes, I'm like, man, I'm losing time. I need to watch something that I will learn something.
I have that anxiety too. Like ever since I was like, I'm not making the most efficient choices of my time right now.
So that's how I get
that's
the
been
phone.
a struggle for me.
The phone does that to me.
Yeah.
Like I don't.
Like you're on the phone talking?
No, like
on TikTok.
If I even,
Oh,
I don't have
yes.
TikTok, but like Instagram, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna put this stuff away.
Yes.
God, I wasted.
It's
You
the
go
same
down
type of
one
feeling.
rabbit hole, and I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, put it down. Put, you know, I've just wasted my life right now.
Right.
I hate that feeling.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a wasted time.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I watch these kids do it all the time. I'm like, what are you doing with your lives?
Yeah.
You know, I get
Have
all...
you seen The Social Dilemma?
I love the social dilemma. I
Yeah.
tell everybody about
Me
the
too.
social dilemma. It's
good.
crazy.
When the people who designed this stuff,
Don't let their kids do it.
here's your sign.
I know.
Like maybe none of us should be doing it, but God, it's so addicting.
And if you look at it from an addictive standpoint, like they are doing it. It's working. And we can't even, we know it, and we can't put our own phones down because
That
they have
shows you.
hooked in to the way that our brain works, and we're just all numbing out. We're all just like not being present. We aren't connecting with people. You see them at dinner. Oh, it just gets me.
Waiting for the next time your phone beeps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was out during one of them, senior prom or homecoming. You know, went out to dinner, and we
bet.
saw all these tables of kids, and literally all around the table, they're all here out to dinner together before their big
Facing
dance.
each other, I bet.
And yeah, and every one of them had a phone right in their
the new
face.
world.
Yeah.
I just took a group of teenagers up to the UP for Habitat for Humanity with our school.
Nice.
And there was the only seat was at the end of the back, and I was standing up. And you know, we saw each other for the whole week. But at one point, I pulled out my phone and recorded. I like could look at everybody was on their phone, and you could see them swiping on Snapchat and YouTube and Instagram, and they're all like, then they're sharing something with each other. And I was like, okay, maybe they're connecting. Like one kid laughs over there and they laugh over here because they shared something. Like, what a wild way to connect.
Yeah.
And I don't, to pivot into dating, I think that's like one of the hardest things, the biggest challenges I think in dating is that you have this dopamine addiction right in your hand, whether it's social media or porn, like it is right there in your hand, and we're addicted to it. It's like we can't get enough of it. We want to just keep scrolling. It feeds the reward hormone that we have, and people don't do that. We offer a completely different kind of hormone, and like it's just not an easy to break cycle when even you just realize the social media or social dilemma, right? You watch that show and you're like, I gotta get rid of this. I gotta get rid of Facebook. I need to be present with people in my life, you know? And yet it's still on my phone. I'm still on Facebook, you know? And I'm like, how can we, of course, I dream big. Like, what needs to happen in society for us to go the other way? Like, does a pendulum need to swing all the way over here to where we are just mindlessly in our heads and like, what's that movie? Divergent.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's one of those end of the world kind of like, there's a word for it, but like different world where there's factions and people are being oppressed and all this, and there's divergence that don't fit into a faction which are aware, and they're watching all these people be kind of mindless, and they just do what they're told, and they're kind of controlled, you know, in their mind, and like what has to happen for all of us to look at this and be like, we're there.
Right.
It's that bad,
Yeah.
you know? And how can we wake ourselves up and get rid of this stuff, you know?
How do you see the dating apps? Do you think it helps people to find their partners, or it doesn't?
No.
Don't you think it makes it easier for them to find the right people and to match?
I love this conversation. I have this conversation a lot because I'm really kind of adamant against the dating apps. I got so many comments and people were like, oh my gosh, you are so anti-app. And so I got back on it because if I'm going to coach people, and I do coach people on their profiles or how to, you know, text back of something witty or how to engage the conversation, I need to stay up in it. And Bumble comes out with a lot of new features. They all kind of update, which is really cool. They're doing better, but I think it creates a delusion of options. Not only is it the dopamine that we really get in there because we want the dopamine. We're swiping because, we got a match. That feels amazing. I mean, if you're present with how you feel intellectually and psychologically, getting a match, I don't know if you guys are on Bumble or if you've done any of these.
I know what it is.
Well, you should get in there just to try it. Like, no, you don't.
I don't want the poison. And what you just said, too, the false options.
Yes. Well, okay, so it goes even further than what people realize. The companies have admitted to creating false profiles, particularly very gorgeous model-like women, to match, just automatically match with men that haven't been in the app for like a month or 2 weeks. They will purposely send you a match that's like, oh my gosh, like this person matched with me. And they'll create a conversation that will get you hooked back so then you can kind of keep swiping. Two things. One, you're now hooked back in to like just keep swiping.
And happy.
Yeah, but your standard is now this model person that's not real, right? And so that's the other thing. 80% of women are swiping left, no, swiping right on the top 5% of men. The model men, the ones that look like they're not realistic. What happens to the other 20% of women, right, that are swiping on maybe the other group? Like, that they've got that. They've figured it out that it's not, this is all fake. It can be fake, right? And the 80% of women are like, that's their standard. If there's a man that's below this new standard, this top 5% of standard, like, I can do better. I deserve better, right?
Well, and what about even, all I can fathom, though, is you're like, the minute you're on some BS, I got 45 others over here I can go swipe to. So I'm not trying to hear that. You know what I mean? Like, I can't believe you can't go out tomorrow night. Guess who can? You know?
Oh, that's how you end up dating several people, or at least talking to several people. And then that's not authentic. Then you're juggling, and you're not really being present. Like how you like to read for the first 10 minutes of the day. We don't give each other that kind of time. You get home from a great date, you pull up your app and you see when the next one you're having a date. You don't sit and be like, wow, what did I really like about that person? How did I feel when they brought up the struggle that they're having with their kids? Or like, there's no reflection. There's very little, very little reflection, because it just feels like this wheel that you have to keep walking and running on. And then there's like we said earlier, the escalator. Like once you, okay, sweet, I got a match. Okay, now I got to get the date. Now I got to get the second date. Now, you want to keep going because you feel this need to validate yourself, to make sure that you're securing something, because there isn't this balance that we have in society or within ourselves that we're like, yeah, if it works out and we can see each other again, awesome. I'd like to continue to get to know you and not have it be like just the dopamine, right? Just the filling in all the gaps of our own loneliness and our own like validation. So
do you think people on those apps are looking for long-term relationships more than hookups, or what?
I think we all think that's the only option. It feels like the only option to be on the dating app, to actually meet somebody. I know, all the people that I'm talking to, they're all wonderful people, and they're all on the apps, and they say, I want a long-term relationship, and then they get there, and that person said they want a long-term relationship, but they really don't, or they don't with that person. Or maybe they're just way attracted, and it's been a while, and they end up just wanting to hook up. We're all humans that have needs, emotional needs, physical needs, and I think juggling that is getting a bad rap. There's so many, like, my tangents that I want to share, that, like, when I first, when my marriage fell apart, I was not looking up. I didn't make eye contact with another guy. Like, I not only wanted to, like, make sure I did everything I could to save my marriage, but I was not comfortable thinking about dating. I'd never dated. I mean, I met the guy when I was 18, out 3 days before I started my freshman year in college. So like the anxiety of all this. And I think I just started to like warm up with like, what would it be like to smile at a guy in public? Like actually look up and see what I could do. So I tutor. I have tutored in the past, and back then I would sit at Starbucks and I would try, like a guy would come in, and regardless if I wasn't looking to move it forward, I just wanted to practice, It seemed like a challenge, and so I'm going to practice. And not one, I smiled at probably 10 guys, and they were so weirded out. They were like, me? Like, they didn't know how to respond. And I was like, that's so weird. Like, what is going on? And I realized that I'm not on the app. So they don't know that I'm safe to approach. That like I'm I'm dropping the handkerchief, right? That's what used to cue men to like that it's safe to approach. If you're not on the app and they can't see your face, they don't know that you're single. Maybe I'm married, but I'm not wearing my ring, which all you married people have to put your rings back on because that is like torturous for us. We're like, we don't know what to do. And there's this disconnect that you can't really, the approaching people in public is really, really awkward now. And then that makes me feel like I need to be on an app so that people can actually feel comfortable approaching and initiating a conversation. It's so messy. It's really tricky.
I'm trying to chew on some of that as you're saying it, but I'm like such an old soul. I have no interest in the app. I've been single, like went through a divorce, like no, I don't want anything to do with it. No. Have you had it ever? Have you been on the any Tinder?
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yes. You don't have to go details. Yeah, it's okay.
He's filtering really hard right now.
Yes or no, that's it.
Yeah, a long time ago, yes.
But so to me, they just are like, and I'm much more, I have not a problem to like walk over there and say hello to whoever. In worst case, they're going to be like, get away from me.
Right.
That's the worst case.
Right.
So who cares?
But so many people, there's so much anxiety around it. So I've done several like classes around how to create a spark in person. It's so fun. We meet at a grocery store, like those little cafes, and talk through the anxieties that we have and all of the fears. We like, all right, what do you think? What's the worst thing that could happen? And the things they say are terrifying, right? Like, someone's going to be so mad or offended, they're going to spill milk on you or, whatever, make this huge scene or start screaming and run away. And I'm like, okay, I think there's a statistic, 96.7% of things that we worry about don't happen.
I would believe that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And people are nice. Like, people generally are really nice.
Right.
And if you're nice to them, that increases the likelihood that they're going to be nice to you. So let's put this into perspective, I'm like, approaching someone in person, if you're nice, you give them space. You're not coming up behind a woman scaring them. That's not going to happen, right? Like, you're going to make sure you can make some eye contact, maybe give them a smile at the other side of the aisle or something, right? We walk through how to do that. And it's going to go okay. And once we like talk through it and we maybe practice with ourselves a little bit just to say the words, and then we could get out into the grocery store and, oh wow, yeah, I really like that cereal, but I was wondering, have you ever tried this one? Or I'm gluten-free, what do you think? Make up something, and the conversations go well, right? Even if it's not a spark, even if they don't ask for your phone number or whatever you're hoping for, it's like you walk away being like, I just did that.
Right.
Like, I feel good about myself and I just made a cool connection.
Like, and you can go do it next time easier.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It's practice. There's a lot of practice.
From a woman perspective, what are some top 3 things that the man cannot do? That like something that would go south
in person?
Yes.
Well, like I said, coming up behind her.
The first time you approach a woman.
I'd say too touchy.
Too touchy.
I would guess, like, not everyone likes any contact at all.
But yeah, what are the top 3 things?
I think the thing that men don't realize is how much our physical safety is top of mind all the time. I'm extra sensitive to this, but every woman I've ever talked to and the women's only conversations that I've had, it's a lot of like retreating. Like, do I feel safe in his presence? And touching too early or getting too cozy or too complimentary, like, don't comment on her body. And if you're going to comment on something about her, make it her eyes or make it her face, but talk maybe more about her energy, the way she laughs, or something else. Like, if it's just the first time, I would even hesitate on that. Compliment like what they're doing, or like, oh man, I love that I see that you're eating the cereal that I eat. Like, it's compliment the connection that you have, something that you have in common, and it's going to take a while to kind of warm up to that safety piece. And it kind of depends on the stage, right? If you're in your 20s and you're looking to just feel the feels and get all like steamy early, you're gonna have to read that right. You know, when body language is huge. Her feet line up to you and she gives you the look in her eyes, like she wants more, right? And I've done this on dates. I've kind of gotten my keys out. I've had my purse tucked in and I'm ready to go home. Like, don't try and pull anything at the end when I look like that, you know? So you have to be really observant to like the vibes that she's sending out. And then I could go either way. It's really a preference if you want to move in, right? Some women love asking permission to hold her hand or put your arm around her, give her a goodnight kiss. Like, that is a wonderful offering in terms of safety, that you are going to wait for her permission to do things that you want to do. You can say, I really want to hold your hand. Is that okay? Oh my gosh, like that for most women, like that is so respectful.
Well, it's consideration. It's showing that you're considerate of the other person's feelings or comfort levels. I think and men or women, I think someone who is considerate is very appealing. I would assume. I think for men and women, like that you are considerate. You know, like a lot of men, I think of my own parents. You know, my mom will like bring a plate. Will always make a plate. He will never get up and make his own plate. You know, that's just something that they have. But like, that's a sign of you are thinking of me before yourself. Or same thing, like I really want to kiss you right now, but instead of just doing it, you're like, you know, hey, would it be possible?
How would you feel?
Yeah. You know.
Now
or you go look over there and then you kiss them.
Right. You get real close. You can yawn and stretch. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So I think the safety, because you asked, I guess, for 3, right? So being really aware. And I mean, it's so sad and it's so scary, but it's not just like touch. We're literally, it's on our radar. Are we going to get home? Like, we are texting our friends the profile picture, the phone number, any address, any contact information, saying where I'm going at what time. And maybe this is Chicago. I realize the difference
it's everywhere.
here. Yeah. So my friends know who I'm seeing at what time, and then I text them when I get home. Like, I'm literally scared, or at least I'm not. I don't want to lead with that energy. I'm leading with a trusting. I'm excited to get to know this person, and you know, I'm trusting that they're a good person, but I'm doing the backup, you know. And some people even go as far as doing the Ben Verified or truthfinder.com to look up their stats if they have stuff. And sadly, I've heard lots of horror stories of the person that they're going out with and seemingly all okay, and they just got out of jail. Or
it's possible.
Oh yeah.
You ever had to do the, hey, call me right now and say you need a ride?
No, I haven't.
So I can get out, you know, right?
Yeah,
hey,
like
call me and say, oh, I'm sorry, I gotta go help my friend.
I gotta take this. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No,
you never had one going that bad?
No, I've actually done pretty well in terms of like the people that I've chosen to move forward with, like go on a date with. There's definitely been some that I'm like, yeah, I'm not moving forward with this one, but it gets kind of tricky if you don't know that you really like this person. You're going to be uncomfortable. You have to choose what you're doing in a way to give you a short time. So that's why like a 20-minute coffee for a first date is perfect, right? You get there, you can kind of feel a natural energy. You can like lean in, or you can feel your body like, not so much. And then that's it. Your coffee cup is empty. Oh, I got to go to, you know, say you have something else. Like, so nice to meet you. If you like them, you can be like, maybe we could do lunch next time, or let's do a walk. But like easing into it. There's so many guys that are like, oh, I want to sweep her off her feet with a really expensive dinner. Right. And like both sides sometimes end up hating that experience. They're like, oh my gosh, like, how do I get out of that?
You know, one thing I never thought of, I went on a date, it's like 45 minutes to Peoria.
Yeah.
And 45 minutes back home. Yeah. You know. And so I had asked this girl to go to dinner in Peoria, go have dinner, come back. Yeah. That was it.
Yeah.
And it was pointed out to me on the way home. She was like, I was so nervous about tonight because like we had never hung out before. So she was like, well, what if I was nervous, like not knowing how this was going to go. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to get an hour away, be with this lame dude, have a terrible, you know, and like a bad, and I like, that never crossed my mind of like, yeah, this could have sucked. Yeah. And I would have had a long hour ride back home. And it wasn't that way. We had a great time.
Yeah.
But like, I was afterwards. I was like, I am completely naive to some of the dumb stuff that could have went on. I guess, or that other people are worried about. It didn't even cross my mind. So then I'm thinking I'm the idiot here because I'm not paying attention, maybe as close as I should.
Well, no, I love that though. I think you're leading with a positive, hopeful energy, and that's another thing that's going wrong with dating is that we're looking for red flags. And I believe that my mindset and the thoughts that I have creates the environments that I go into. It changes the scene. Like if I could go into a meeting and, you know, be like, this is going to go well. I'm really excited to hear everyone's opinion and try and think of a way for this to work for everybody. That meeting's going to go completely differently than if I go in there and be like, I know what I did and I know what I like and what I want and they're the ones that are wrong. Like that's going to go really horribly. So when it comes to dating, right, it is much better. You'll have a much better experience if you were like, I'm excited to meet this person. I don't have expectations to like, they're not necessarily going to be my person, my forever person, but like I'm going to learn something from them and I get to connect. Like keep it light, keep it happy. What is that? An hour and a half in the car is going to be worth it. Yeah. Even if you go and you're like, yeah, I wasn't feeling it, but cool, I got to meet someone new.
Right.
Right.
And I think that's where my mindset probably was. Just to go have a good time, have a good day, good dinner, you know.
Right.
And yeah, I just found that.
And you felt good about it.
Yeah, I did. I had a great time.
Yeah.
You know.
So did she live in Peoria?
No.
She lived up here?
Like,
you don't need to go into much detail.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just interested, like, how does somebody know on the apps meet someone in Peoria?
No, see, I don't have the app.
Right, that's what I mean.
Oh, right, yeah. No, she's local, like, ish, you know. But yeah, it was... You
want to hit up Shea Willie's or... the
closed.
Taco place, yeah. I'm like, when I was here, what was the?
But yeah, no, that's it. And to be honest, too, like even just being in a smaller town, to like go out, for me to go out, especially on just like a date or something, like don't even know where this is going, to go out in town and then you see 15 people and then they're like, oh, you know, so and so's together now, and like, no, we're not.
Yeah,
like,
it was just a date.
That was a date, you know. But that's how it'll all get going in a town like what we have, you know.
So for all the single women, what's your opinion on a woman? So there are two levels of being interested. One is smiling at a man at a bar or something, and the other level is a woman approaching a man and like to hit on that man.
Who initiates?
Are you? Yeah, who initiates?
Yeah.
Is it okay, in your opinion, for the woman to initiate? That should be normal, and that's what you think everybody should think, or not? Right. Or is the man should approach?
I love your questions. You're really good at this. It's awesome.
At dating?
I'm
just kidding. Yeah. I'm just messing with him.
I think you should ask that on a date and be like, what should I have done? No, this is a tough one for me because, you know, we kind of grew up with this traditional mindset. And like I mentioned earlier, the handkerchief, you know, I find that really romantic. Where, you know, the woman initiates and the man leads, right? There is that masculine, feminine energy, which I'm really getting nerdy about in my personal life and in dating, and really seeing how beautiful that really is when you can do it in a healthy way. I've lived most of my life in the masculine energy. Like, I'm a math nerd. I like building things. I like being strong and, you know, exercising and creating and thinking, all of the things, and I can be assertive and I can, you know, go after things. I'm a risk taker. Like, all those things are more of the typical masculine. As I've gotten older and kind of studied this a little bit, when I've dropped in more into my feminine energy, I feel connected to this piece and this place of me that I'd never experienced before. And it's awesome. Like, it's okay to just be and to be present and to hold space and to support the masculine in my life or in my family. And so the question comes back to that because I am different than a lot of other dating coaches because they do keep to that strict, like, here's masculine, here's feminine, you know, you get to pick. I mean, what is the politically correct way to say that? If you identify as a man, right, these are the things you should be. And if you identify as a woman, these are the things. We need to get you more in line with this. The world is too complicated for that now. It doesn't work that way. And I grew up not in my body in that way, right? Not, I guess, my energy not really matching what I identified as, which is a woman. And I felt okay, right? Like, I didn't feel like I was bad or wrong. It was really, it's been an interesting journey for me, but I have to now recognize that I have both, you have both, you have both. We all have this blend, a very unique blend of masculine and feminine qualities. And sometimes for women, it's going to feel better to lead. That way they pick. That way, like, they're the ones identifying who they're interested in and the safety that they're wanting to lean towards. Because having a man approach us that we don't feel safe with, we don't feel good with, is super creepy. Like, it makes us feel really bad. And I want to run. I want to, like, grab a friend. And, it doesn't feel great. So that's a really awkward place. But when a man shows up and does it the right way, it can be super sexy. Then it's like, I can be safe if he makes me feel safe and seen and valued, and without pressure, without a sexual need behind it. It's just, I see you, I see your beauty, and I'm curious.
So should be considered normal a woman approach a man or not?
I would think normal. I mean, especially in this world today, where I think, to me, when I hear that, I'm not a dating coach, but when I hear that, I'm like, man, that's a woman who knows what she wants.
Yes, okay. That's what I think too.
That is appealing. Like, that has some sexy to it, if you will.
And I think you guys deserve to be wanted.
Yeah,
like someone's coming to me like,
because
men want to be wanted.
Right.
We all want to be desired or wanted, no matter what. But even for a woman to do it, it shows she knows what she wants. Yeah. She's also not shy. Yeah. Come out, take a swing, and if it goes well,
but I'm sure from the woman perspective, she will be thinking, oh, he's gonna think I'm too easy.
Oh,
versus I know what I want.
But that's going back to being in our own head.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
We were talking earlier, like
men will not think, oh, this woman's too easy. I will not talk to her.
Especially get a couple beers and the guy will go, he thinks he's Superman. Right. It's so, and you mentioned that too, like the weird, creepy. I have many friends, female, and you're like, God, the stuff I hear.
Right.
That men say or text.
I
would be like, they what? They're like, yeah, look. I'm like, no way he said that. And they're like, yeah, look. Yeah. And here's some of them are like, look, he's texted me 13 times. I've never responded.
Yep. I can pull up my phone right now.
Yeah. It's so crazy to me.
Or, hey, gorgeous. Hey, baby. Hey, whatever. And I'm like, no. Like, when I feel sassy, I will talk back to them. I'll be like, here's a tip. Don't ever give a woman a nickname like that you've never met. Like, I get sassy sometimes.
Yeah. Well, I know. I'm telling you, man, I wish there was a lot of men and women, but a lot of men could sure use some coaching on approachable.
I look at these apps or these profiles and I'm like, how do I reach out to you without you thinking I'm matching? Because I want to help you. Like, this is so bad.
Yeah.
No one's going to want to date you with that. Like, I mean, it looks like a mugshot, and I don't know what the holding the fish is really supposed to tell me.
No one wants to see your
that you're going to be gone all day Saturday and Sunday. Is that what the message is? That you provide what? You're going to like bring home the fish and cook it for me? Like, I don't go.
So
I don't know.
So dumb.
Yeah, it's really not. It's like men make profiles for men. It's their ego boost. Like, look at my cool car. Look at the huge fish they bought. Right. Like, women don't care about that.
Now, do you think is that the same case with women? Like, they
women dress for women.
Yeah, dress for women is more to impress women than men, and men does the same for men.
Like, I don't. I've never done that. Like, I'm not. I don't really think about my appearance too much. It was more, I mean, I did my hair for the first time in like 2 months here. But like, I don't get it. There is way more competition between women. Like, you put a bunch of women in a room and they're like, somebody's talking about somebody. And
all day.
It's insane. And this is why I've always hung out with guys. Like, at elementary school, I was playing soccer on the soccer field instead of hopscotch. I mean, my whole life, I've had guy friends. College, I was like the girl at the bar with all the guys, Like, I appreciate that a lot more, because the catty, nitpicking, dressing up competition, I don't play. I'm not playing the game, And it does hurt dating, because then we can't relate well unless it's over how crappy guys are. And that's the environment that's also happening. And one of the high school kids I was hanging out with last week told me about a high school girl that had a sweatshirt that said, "Men lie, all men lie." And he thought this was hilarious. Like, oh, haha, we can just diss on men. And I'm like, time out. If it said all women lie, how do you think that would go? It's not okay to put down, and there's this environment where like we're all gonna gang up and put men down. And that's one thing that I do notice that I do a lot with dating coaching is I'm lifting you guys up. The culture that you've grown up in, the emotional shaming of any kind of emotions, or shaming of any kind of emotions, right? Or you're not having leaders and teachers, parents to hold you when you're crying, to tell you that it's okay to do that, to help you understand what you're feeling and how to rise above it, how to move forward, how to show up masculine, right? And still be humans. You're not machines that just need to work and crank out money. And I find it really offensive how our culture these days is treating men. And I sat with a girlfriend not that long ago, and she said if a guy ever shares emotion on a date, he's out. He needs to be thinking about what kind of job he's going to get, what kind of money he's going to bring back, when is he cooking food, like all of these things that I'm like, where is he a human in all of those? He's not a machine. And I'm somewhere in that middle. So we talked about like masculine, feminine, and how I feel like we all have some that balance is there, but we have these universal needs that are being ignored for a lot of people, especially men. To feel comfortable, to feel safe, emotionally safe maybe is more important for you guys. Physical safety.
With men especially, their emotions, they're not supposed to show it to other men.
Right.
You're not supposed, like, that's just how it's always been.
Yeah.
I can say I believe it's shifting.
Yes.
And probably needed to a long time ago. But
the
yeah,
Andrew Tates that are like totally
douche.
counting that.
Yeah, I don't know. That Andrew Tate guy is a whole other level of.
I don't pay attention to the news or what's going on because I spin into dark places. So I
heard a comedian the other day, Larissa said, and this is a comedy, okay?
Yeah.
So he's being funny on stage, but he says, men are the only thing that if they're not providing, that they're out. You're not good at it. You're not doing it. You're not cutting it.
With a woman.
Yeah, in your household, whatever. If you're not providing, and that's not just financially or food, but like if you are not able to provide, like it'll be like we're like women and children and dogs and pets. Like everyone else can have unconditional love. And this is a comedian, right? So he's kind of being funny, but there's some real truth to it.
Yeah, I love when comedians really touch on real things.
Right,
and they make
me
it funny.
too.
Yeah,
me too.
What comedian was this? I'll look it up.
I can't remember off the top of my head. It'll come to me.
Okay.
It might have been Bill Burr.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
I like him.
But yeah, he was, and that's what he was like. If men aren't providing, you're out. You're done.
I think that taps into the masculine energy piece, and not only tradition, right? But when men provide for a woman, it gives us that feel that like, oh, I'm being taken care of. Security. I'm cherished. I am special. Like, and trust me when I say like I have lived my entire life. I don't have needs. I don't need to be special. Like I really have come a long way to be able to like appreciate and say those things and make me feel good. Like I am special and I want a man to cherish me and I want I want to be provided for. At the same time, I know what I offer. I know I provide just as much. Maybe I don't provide the money the same way, but I provide in other ways, you know, emotional. I'm working around the house. I'm doing all kinds of stuff too. So if anybody's not pulling their weight, yeah, you're out. Like the relationship has so many facets, and maybe your relationship is just, an emotional connection that you touch on once a month. But if you're going to be partners, you both got to bring stuff to the table. You both have to provide. And maybe that's what they're saying, is that the woman doesn't have to provide at all. It blows my mind that women can be like, I'm going to stay at home and, not take care of the house, not take care of the kids. If they want that traditional thing, if they're not working, expecting traditional lifestyle, but then not to offer anything in terms of the feminine that offers. Like that's not going to work.
Right.
Both people are going to be actually pretty miserable.
Yeah.
They might like it. They can go play tennis during the day, and you know they have this ideal life. But there's something missing in them, you know, deeper.
Yeah.
So at least that's what I believe.
Is there any element that you can think that it would be like, how can I say, very high level of importance in a relationship? Like what elements make a relationship last, and what makes a relationship not last at all?
Yeah. It's changed. I don't know if it's changed, but it's become more prevalent since COVID. Being single in COVID was very interesting. And you saw a lot of people on the apps like match up and just go exclusive early so they could, you know, meet each other and be close. And I think since then, two things have happened. We're way more comfortable being isolated. We're like, I don't need anybody. I'm really okay by myself. And that's not, I mean, you have that mentality, your relationship's not going to last. You're getting what you need, and then you really are kind of avoidant. Then the other side is, wow, life really can be really short. And it needs to be meaningful now. Like now I really want a partner that's there for me, you know? So that emotional availability, emotional intelligence, being able to connect deeply emotionally is like top. Men and women. Like we're not wasting our time anymore. We might not have time to waste. At least, I guess I should say people that have probably been married, they're 35 and older. And especially I talk to a lot of 50, 60-year-olds. And of course for them, they've done the escalator, they had their kids, and now they want that intimacy. They want the intimacy that they didn't have. I would say 100% of the marriages that fail are because of a lack of intimacy. Like you don't have that emotional connection where you're like, I got you, I'm here for you, you got me, you know, like this deeper connection. Physical intimacy, of course, is always something people bring up. And that, if you are on a track to start connecting in that way, it's going to be hard to really slow that down. You know, that's going to be a good thing. But again, there's several steps, and that emotional connection, you have to get through some hurdles, like second guessing or sabotaging, and like all the ways that we're kind of like, oh, it's too scary to keep going and be vulnerable. You know, you have to bring some vulnerability to it. That's the new thing. I mean, it's always been there, but you know, when you look at, let's say a woman is interested in a man, they're probably not going to think emotional availability in that moment. That's where the apps come in. That's where you were asking, is it better to filter? Like, I want 6 foot, athletic build, you know, makes this much money. You know, they have those filters, and they're wrong in thinking that's where they're going to find it. You know, like you're really narrowing down on the filters that don't matter to you at all. Like,
well, what's funny to me, I think people always say like, I have a type.
Yeah.
You're 40 and single. Your type ain't working.
Right.
Like maybe you should stop clicking the 6 foot box
right.
and the like you know what I mean? Like, but I'm
It's
just
true.
saying, like if you're like, I have a type, like your type is broke.
You're not my
I mean,
type.
you're not.
What type is that?
I don't know. So maybe you should start venturing out.
Yeah.
You know, one of my biggest pet peeves, I've seen it. We've all seen it. And maybe even done it ourselves. What you gonna spit on me?
No, sorry.
But like one thing that kills me is the people will go right down the same track again.
Yes.
Like the exact same type person, same thing. And I love a meme I saw of like, ignore enough red flags and you end up in like, you know, you wonder why you're in this whole area. You have ignored miles of red flags, and now you're in a war zone, and you wonder why.
Yeah, and you blame it on all the people.
Yeah, and it's always someone else. And then they break up, they're single, and they're saying this stuff again, and then they jump right back in. Right. They jump right in. They jump right in, and you're like, dude, and that's where I think the whole Mountain Is You.
Yes.
Book is like so clutch. Like it can't if you're going to be out here going through all these relationships and not doing any learning along the way.
Oh my gosh.
That's awfully risky, man.
It's a rough road. I don't think you can get to a place where you're happy again. Like because I think that everything that happens to you, every moment, like this experience for me right now is here to teach me something.
100%.
And if I walk out of here and I don't reflect and I don't think about like, oh, where was I nervous? You know, I was super nervous before I got here. So I'm like, okay, why? Why am I so nervous? Is it because I care so much? Is it because it's like recorded and whatever it is. And then the next time it happens, it can get easier and I can tweak something so that it goes better. I do this on every date. So I made a journal. I have 56 first dates. I know I wrote down all their names, what they're like, and what about them I liked, what are some things that like really not for me, right? And so that I wanted to date up. So every single person that I dated was better than the last one in some way for me, right? Like, okay, the first person I dated was just as bad as my husband or my ex-husband, and like, I see that now. I mean, verbatim, they would use the same words. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I did it. Like, I've had therapy, so much therapy. And then the first time I get back out there to date, like 2 years after we broke up.
Someone just like it.
Yeah, little different here and there,
right.
But yes, in those ways that like I naturally gravitated towards, I hadn't learned the lesson. And I don't think you can learn the lessons that you need by sitting at home not dating.
No,
that's why you have to get out there. You have to date, because then someone's going to say something or trigger you, and that's when you do the work.
But the key word is you have to date. You can't be like the first date, you're like, I love you.
Oh gosh, no.
Or like even the first couple weeks, you're like, can you move in? Like I have friends, I swear, within months they're engaged. Like I can't fathom some of that.
Is this like right after a breakup?
Yeah, like you're right into the next marriage, and
they just
like,
need validation. They need someone to like them.
And it's like, stop it, man. Yeah. Like you got to spend some time by yourself.
Yes.
Solitude, you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
But you have to spend some time by yourself to find out what is it you're really after. What does matter to you?
Yes.
Jay Shetty book, 8 Rules of Love.
I have that by my bed.
You do?
Yeah.
It's a great book, but he's talking about in there too, like so many people, they get in a relationship and they're like, I love Victor. I'm going to, like, whatever Victor's into, I want to check it out. Like, I want to go. And you're like, hey, do you want to do? Yeah, I'd love to. And you spend, next thing you know, you've spent the last 10, 20 years doing everything that Victor wants. And you haven't felt or fulfilled any of your needs.
Yeah.
And then you're wondering why now I'm at this point in my life, I feel empty. I'm not happy about what I'm doing. And we have these
no direction, you're totally lost.
You don't even know what you want.
Yeah.
So now you really, and now, we're like, we feel like that kid again about to get out of high school. Like, what are you going to do with yourself?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Yeah. It's really scary. Yeah. And for those of us that are in kind of toxic relationships where one person does just give yes. I literally said to my teacher friends that they're like, oh, what do you love most about getting married? I was like, I can't wait to make his life the most ideal life as possible, make his life as ideal as possible. And they're like, what about you? And I'm like, oh, no, that's where I'll find fulfillment, is like by being that wife, oh my gosh, no, I didn't lose myself completely. I was still active and doing things and working. But yeah, when it was over, I'm like, I prayed. I had a prayer that was, God, give me enough solitude to truly learn about who I am, what I want, and how to be good by myself. I want to be able to stand on my own 2 feet and know that I'll be okay no matter what happens after that. And then if you couldn't mind to bring the person that I'm supposed to be with. Like, I knew I still wanted to be a partner, but I really have needed this time to date, not for like I need to find another person, but even making a profile. Okay, I've got this many characters. How do I sum up who I am in this many characters? There's a prompt. Okay, who am I? What do I want to put out in the world? Like, I loved OkCupid. I don't know if you were on that one ever. It has thousands of questions. Thousands. And it gives you percentages based on like how compatible you are with people. I just went through all of it. I think I have like 630 answered or something, because it wasn't about matching. It was asking myself those questions.
Right. To
learn about myself and to get back to me and what was important to me. And some of them I'm like, I can't believe they put that on there. And I'm not very crude, but some of those, you don't want to answer all of those on in public for that. And I think that's a perk to online apps, and to the filtering is not, but to learn about yourself, to go on each date and be like, yeah, no, I dated all kinds of people, motorcycle riders, artists, tall, short, like all kinds. And I asked a ton of questions. So that's where I feel like it's really helped me get here, where I am good. I actually like a lot of things about being single. I know that I want a partner, and I know what I offer as a partner. You know, I've had short-term relationships. I knew what I was like, what I brought as a wife, and although I didn't speak up for needs or hold, you know, some standards that I should have, I love to be in a partnership. I love to, you know, talk about emotions and juggle the life things. And so, although I'm single and, you know, still enjoying meeting people, I know when it's ready, I'll be ready. And that's what you want to get to, right? You want to date enough to get there.
But you're not going to go forcing it is the most important part. And
I drag it out.
Yeah. And one thing I've said before, you know, this isn't a race. You know, like me and you talking, going on some dates and we do not need to be by September 1st. We have to be at this point. No. And that, you know, there will be none of that. So,
but that's what dating is like.
Oh yeah,
like there is that.
Because then you have your peers. Well, your peers are going, man, how long are you going to do this?
Yeah.
You know, you guys have been. I don't know. We'll do it till we're ready.
Right.
To take it to the next step, whatever that even next step may be.
Right.
You know.
And that's what I'm trying to do with the mindful dating events. I saw a huge need. I'm trying to create a culture where it's different than all of the toxic things of the apps, right? Like even when you get an app and you find a match and you sit like across from each other, you're like, okay, sizing each other up. Okay, I like how they do this and this. Oh, they picked up the bill, or oh, they didn't pick up the bill. They let me pick up the bill, or like all these little details that you're consciously or subconsciously analyzing. Then you notice how you're texting, and then you notice how date 2 goes, and then date 3, and then by date 3, are you ready to move forward physically? And if you're not, a lot of people leave. A lot of people are...
Date 3 is it?
Yeah. They say an average of 7 hours. You have to spend an average of 7 hours together. And I'm
so
like,
just make the first day 8 hours?
No, maybe. Some people.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, you go like rock climbing and dinner. There you go.
I'm just
You can be like, okay, it was about an hour ago.
Right.
Let's go.
I'm just saying, average person is out an hour ago.
Yeah.
That's a dumb humor I do. I would say the dumb stuff like that.
Yeah.
And probably end the date.
Yeah.
That's a bad joke.
No, I'm sure it goes well. But that's like what is, I don't think, healthy.
Yeah.
Because now, post-divorce, I need more time. I need to see you in different environments, you know, a group setting. I need to like be able to trust who you are, because who can't pull off a face-to-face, put your best face on, pick out a nice Saturday so you're rested and ready to, you know, like it's just this perfect little cauldron of a great date or great months. But like, I don't know what to trust from that. Your profile could be a totally mess, and everything about your life could be a mess, and you're not showing me. And so maybe it's because I have trust issues, but I think a lot of us have those issues, and we're a lot more guarded. And
well, I think too, I've had friends who have dated, so they do the dating apps, meet someone in a different town. Okay. So then you have your kids every other weekend, and then so every other weekend you're free, and this person lives in another state or area. So now you're what time have you really spent together? You can say, okay, we've been dating for 3 months.
Right.
But what is that? 6 dates?
Yeah.
You know, if you're lucky.
Right.
And so to me, it's like, how well can you really sit here and say that you know this person?
Right.
I mean, even after 6 months.
Right.
When your life doesn't allow you to give them, you know, daily dose of yourself, or even a weekly dose for that matter.
And if you're not getting the kids involved, you're not matching up the kids, they don't get to see what you're like at home, or you know, you can't integrate that way, which I think is smart. You don't want to do that early.
Yeah, the kids, I'm a super stickler on that.
Me too.
On the kids. Like the kids aren't going to meet anybody for a long time. You know. Yeah.
I think that's the piece that's also missing in dating, is that understanding that we need to just chill out and slow down, and creating an environment for us to do that. So my mindful dating events is where I put small group singles together in the same age group. So you get a membership, you get on the list. I kind of look at, okay, I've got 15 to take 25 to 35, and I go put them at a comedy show or do dinner or a walk, or I did Go Ape, which was like a high ropes course. Dancing, that's one thing that is just fun. It creates happy hormones in us just by ourselves.
Put your guard down too, because
right?
you're gonna
you're
look
silly,
you're gonna look
mess
dumb.
Up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you see how people work that. Like what do they do when they mess up? Are they like super nervous? Do they not even want to go because their ego can't handle it? Right. So like volunteering. What kinds of people, I mean, if you are one of those people that want to volunteer, find someone with a service minded goal in life, like you go to the volunteering and you meet other people. And it gives you time. I actually had two people like make a connection. I just found out they made a connection on one of these events, and then they asked each other out right away, and then it kind of like faded off. Like it was like a normal date. But if you like do this for a while, right, you build that connection, you're excited to see them again at these events. That's where like some tension starts to build, right? You're like excited about them. You're thinking about them until the next time. And that's laying a foundation that's way more sturdy than like, hey, can I get your number? Can we go out? And then you're on the track. You're on that escalator where it's like, okay, how many dates have we been on now? What does that mean about us? Where are we? Like you get to that. It's not where people post-divorce, post-death, of your spouse. Like that's not the same escalator we want to be on anymore.
No.
We need time. We need conversations and get to know each other, and it's an uphill battle. Like with dopamine coming through on all of the phones and everybody thinking the apps are the only option. It's a challenge. I'm not gonna lie. But I'm dedicated. I'm like, I'm not going to fail if I don't stop.
You go out on a date, you shut your ringer off?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't even come out.
I was going to say, that's another thing that is crazy to me, that people will really sit and keep giving the attention to the phone. And you're like, what? I thought... Are we doing dinner?
Are we doing this or?
Are we doing dinner or gonna be on Tinder there?
Right, but then
like swiping while you're sitting across.
But even with you, you have your family, your wife, or not wife, but your girl and baby. Like you guys, even though you're already together and have her heart, you should be sitting at dinner with no phone. Right?
No phone.
We should.
Yeah, I should.
You really should.
Yeah.
There's no phone on my dinner table at home. There's no electronic.
That's time and attention that can, whoever it is, and this is the thing. The phones have done a great job. We believe that phone beeps. I have to respond. Well, someone's asking a question. Well, so-and-so can wait 20 minutes.
Right.
Or like, I feel like even just getting back to someone within the hour is completely acceptable.
Absolutely.
Unless like your house is burning down, or hey, my mom just died. Like, stop.
I come down here, my phone's off for days.
Yeah.
Like, if you need me, the house phone of the people that I know, right? You can call grandma's house phone, and we'll make sure that we get the information that we need. Otherwise, I'm out. And I love it so much.
Well, we went years as kids without those damn things.
Yes.
I'm sure we can all.
We did
Our parents lived an entire life, raised kids. We do not need these things as much as they're really cool.
Super cool.
Don't take mine away from me.
I love having Google Maps, right?
But
I loved getting lost. So when I turned 16, I was driving all over the place. I would get lost all the time, and then I found my way. I learned where things were by getting lost.
Right.
So the kids don't have that. I dated somebody younger, much younger than me once. The first guy that I dated, and it was a constant Google Map thing. He didn't know how to get anywhere in the town that he was living in, my town. And I'm like, how do you not know where? I don't know. I just type it into Google. Like, there's some things about younger people that I'm like, oh my gosh, you would be so lost without your phone.
Right. No, it is. It's a real thing. They've done a great job of making those, like dumbifying us. Yeah, because we don't need to know anything anymore.
No.
I can just ask the phone, right? Whether it's directions or any info or, what's the top 10 things women want to hear. Right. You can Google it.
Oh, yeah.
It might not be right.
And AI will now write it for you.
And AI will write it how to say it.
Yeah. It's really...
Well, Larissa, I hope you enjoyed yourself with us
this was
today.
great. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
I know, I've been looking forward to this. I think relationships, dating is something all of us can throw our 2 cents or learn, especially continue to learn.
Yeah.
Even if folks have been married for 30 years, you still got stuff to learn.
Oh my gosh,
So,
that's where the real work is. Actually.
right. I will say this before we close. One of my things that absolutely melts my heart all the time, I think it's from family I grew up with, but seeing these couples who've been married for 50 years, the way they look at each other, the way they even will like kind of trash talk, but in the most loving, cute way, you know, like it is something really, really powerful to that. And it's something that's always hits me right here.
Yeah.
And I'll never have it, and that's okay. But
Hey, don't say that.
how am I going to get 50 years of wedding? I'm already 42.
Well, that connection. You could probably still find that connection.
The connection,
I saw a little reel the other day. Yeah, they were a married couple, and like she had dropped her napkin, and so she bent over, and he reached over and covered the corner.
I saw that video.
Right?
Yeah.
And then she got back up, and then he needed something. She gave him, like, it was like they were in sync with each other, and it was like a loving tap on his back. And I'm like, yes, like that can happen at any age. You don't need 50 years to do that.
Yeah.
It's just the connection. When you find that connection, you could be right there. And that's the magic of love that just keeps me going. I love it so much.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, keep up all your hard work and helping everybody and continuing to grow and work on yourself too.
Yeah. Thanks for
all
having
of
me.
us.
This was
Thank
awesome.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you for
so
joining
much.
us.
All right, guys, it's a Talk About It podcast. It's Larissa Hill. I'm sure if you are interested in any sort of dating or relationship coaching, look her up on Facebook as well.
Yep.
But appreciate you guys. Appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys.
And
Thank
hit
you.
subscribe before you end this episode.
Subscribe
we'll talk to you
to the
later.
channel.
All right,
See
Lauren
you guys
Fulmer,
next
Victor
week.
Dantas, Talk About It. Thank you for watching this episode of the Talk About It podcast.
I'm Victor Dantas.
I'm Lauren Fulmer.
And we would encourage you guys to subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to hit the bell. It's going to be right below the video. So you
Hit
guys,
the bell.
so you know when the next episode is up. All
We
right?
appreciate all the support.
Thank you.